Welcome to the deep dive. We're talking about something that touches almost every major company today, digital transformation.
Mm-hmm. It's everywhere.
Billions are being poured into these initiatives, yet here's a statistic that might make you pause. Over 70% of them don't achieve their intended goals.
70%. That's huge.
Yeah,
Comes from McKinsey, right?
that's right. And the surprising truth, it's rarely the shiny new technology that's to blame.
No, it usually isn't. It's something, well, more fundamental.
Exactly. It's often a disconnect in how organizations actually operate and, crucially, how they empower their teams. So the big question we're tackling today is what truly makes a digital transformation succeed despite this, high failure rate?
It is a fascinating puzzle
Yeah.
because when you think digital transformation, your mind probably jumps straight to the tech, the latest gadgets, the software.
Sure, AI, cloud, all that.
Right. And while those are definitely part of the picture, what years of research and, frankly, real-world experience tell us is that the secret sauce lies somewhere else entirely.
Okay, so our mission today.
Our mission is to really uncover that secret for you. What's the actual catalyst?
And the core idea we're going to explore in this deep dive is this. The single most powerful way to ensure your digital transformation doesn't become another statistic is by truly empowering your product teams.
Truly empowering them.
Yeah, and this isn't just about, giving them more freedom or better coffee machines. It's about a really comprehensive approach.
We're talking structure here.
Structure, exactly. Think about structurally aligning them with your business goals, enabling seamless visual collaboration, and even amplifying their capabilities with AI.
Absolutely. And look, this isn't just a theory we cooked up overnight. It's grounded in some really solid foundational thinking.
Yeah.
You've got things like Eric Evans' work on domain-driven design.
Right, DDD. Great for tackling complexity.
Powerful tools there. Then you have Skelton and Pies' team topologies, which gives amazing frameworks for organizing teams to maximize flow. Really practical stuff.
And the Accelerate research, too. Can't forget that.
Definitely not. Forsgren and her colleagues clearly showed that these kinds of autonomous teams directly correlate with higher software delivery performance and, importantly, better organizational outcomes.
So for you listening, by the end of our discussion today, you should walk away with a much clearer understanding of what really drives successful digital transformation.
And hopefully how you can apply these principles in your own context.
Okay, let's dive back into that high failure rate. If it's not the technology that's tripping companies up, what is the main reason based on the research and your experience?
Yeah, it's really striking. What the material we've been looking at really underscores is this recurring theme of misalignment. Just a fundamental disconnect
Misalignment between what and what?
between the big picture business strategy, the vision, and how the technical teams are actually executing day to day. That's the primary reason these things falter. It's not usually a lack of technological sophistication.
So you can have the fanciest systems.
You can have the most cutting edge systems, absolutely. But if they're not being built and deployed in a way that directly furthers the core objectives of the business, then the whole effort is likely to just drift, lose its way.
Right. So if you're listening and wondering why your digital initiatives aren't delivering the results you expected, it might not be the specific software you chose.
Probably not. Look deeper.
It might be how your teams are structured and crucially connected to that bigger picture. Okay, so that leads us right to this concept of empowered product teams. Now, when we say empowerment here, what does that truly entail? It's not just about perks and flexible hours, is it?
No, not at all. That's surface level. The research really emphasizes that true empowerment here is architectural, it's operational, and it's visual. It's much more than just a cultural shift, although culture is part of it.
Okay, break that down. Architectural.
Architecturally, it means giving these product teams really clear boundaries, clear ownership that aligns with specific domains or capabilities of the business.
Operation.
Operationally, it's about granting them real authority, real decision-making power within those defined boundaries. They don't have to ask permission for everything.
And visual. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, visually, it involves ensuring they have a clear line of sight. They can see how their work directly contributes to achieving those broader business goals and outcomes. It's about context.
Okay, let's dig a bit deeper into that architectural aspect. The sources talk about moving towards a capability-driven architecture. What's the fundamental difference between that and, how many companies traditionally organize their tech departments?
It's a pretty significant shift in thinking, actually. Traditionally, organizations often structure their tech teams around specific technologies, right?
Yeah, you have the database team, the front-end team, the API team.
Exactly. The Java team, the .NET team, the infrastructure folks. But a capability-driven architecture flips that completely. Instead, teams are formed around what the business actually does.
Like core business functions.
Precisely. Think about things like onboarding new customers, or processing payments, or managing inventory. These distinct business capabilities become the organizing principle. You build autonomous, cross-functional teams around each of them.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. So instead of a team just being responsible for, say, the login system, they might own the entire customer identity and access management capability.
Exactly right. But that capability might include login, but also user profiles, security settings, password resets, maybe even integration with other identity providers, the whole life cycle.
And this is where domain-driven design comes in handy, with those bounded contexts.
It's incredibly useful here, yes. Each of these capability-aligned teams operates within its own clearly defined bounded context. You can think of it as an autonomous zone of ownership.
Their turf, basically.
Their turf, exactly. And within that turf, they have the authority to make decisions about their part of the system, the data models, the technology choices, the architecture, without constantly needing approval or tight coordination with dozens of other teams.
Which must speed things up considerably.
Oh, massively. It leads to much quicker decision-making and significantly reduces the drag, the friction, caused by excessive inter-team dependencies. Less waiting, more doing.
It sounds like this approach allows these teams to function almost like little independent startups within the larger organization.
That's a great way to put it, mini startups within the enterprise. Each one is focused on delivering specific business value within their particular domain.
So they're not just order takers focused on coding tasks.
Not at all. They're thinking about the business outcomes they're responsible for within their capability. And the real advantage, the payoff for you, the listener, is that these teams become both highly skilled technically in their specific domain
Yeah.
and deeply aligned with the strategic objectives related to that business capability. They get the why.
Okay, technical excellence and strategic alignment. That's powerful. Now, the research also highlights the importance of minimal viable learning, or MVL cycles. For listeners familiar with lean startup, this might ring a bell. How do these MVL cycles fit into this model of empowered teams?
They fit perfectly, like hand in glove. Think of MVL cycles as a structured way for these autonomous, capability-aligned teams to rapidly experiment and gather feedback.
But safely, right? Without breaking everything.
Yes, crucially, without putting the entire system or the long-term architectural integrity at risk. Because they operate within their clearly defined bounded context, they can try out new ideas, maybe a new algorithm or a UI tweak.
Get quick feedback on whether it actually works, whether customers like it.
Exactly. See what works, what doesn't, and then make incremental adjustments to their approach, maybe even their local architecture, based on that concrete learning.
So it's about constant iteration and validating assumptions, but contained within those specific business capability boundaries.
Precisely. The feedback loops are primarily within that capability, allowing for super fast validation and that incremental adaptation. This is just crucial because it enables teams to maintain that vital delivery momentum
You keep shipping value.
while still adhering to sound architectural principles. They're not just building blindly, they're continuously learning and refining their approach based on real-world results within their domain.
Okay, so we have these empowered, capability-aligned teams working in these rapid MVL cycles. Sounds good, sounds fast. But how do you, maybe as someone overseeing a larger part of the organization, ensure some degree of overall coherence? How do you govern this without strangling the autonomy? It feels like things could potentially get a bit fragmented, right?
That's a really critical question. How do you maintain alignment across all these autonomous units without falling back into the old habits of, top-down command and control and endless static documentation?
Yeah, the death by PowerPoint approach.
Right. The source material introduces this really interesting concept of a visual alignment framework as a kind of dynamic layer of governance.
Visual alignment framework. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Imagine like a shared digital space, maybe using collaborative whiteboard tools where you have visual representations of your key business processes, your customer journeys, the flow of value through the organization, and crucially, how the different product teams and their capabilities map onto those flows.
So not static org charts or architecture diagrams hidden in some folder.
No, definitely not. It's a living, breathing set of diagrams and models that everyone business stakeholders, product managers, engineers can see, interact with, and contribute to. It draws inspiration from things like lean visual management and design thinking.
To create a system for real-time collaboration.
Exactly. A place where business and technical stakeholders can collaborate in real time, building a shared understanding that actually evolves as your systems and your business evolve. It's not a snapshot from 6 months ago.
So instead of relying on those massive, often instantly outdated requirements documents that, let's be honest, hardly anyone reads cover to cover.
Right. You have something much more interactive, much more engaging, and visually driven.
And the benefit of that visual approach.
What's particularly powerful, and this really jumped out from the research, is how effectively this surfaces those inevitable misalignments and surfaces them early.
How so?
Well, when everyone from the senior business leader down to the junior engineer is looking at the same visual representation of the business capabilities, the value streams, how the teams are aligned, any disconnects, any gaps, any overlaps just become immediately apparent. They stand out.
Ah, because you can literally see where things don't line up.
Precisely. And catching those misalignments early on, maybe in a planning session or a review using these visual tools, dramatically reduces the cost and effort of correcting course later in the development cycle. You avoid building the wrong thing or building things that conflict.
That makes intuitive sense. Fixing things early is always cheaper. Is there any data on the impact?
Yeah, the research actually suggests quite significant impacts, potentially up to a 50% reduction in development cycle times.
Wow, 50%.
50%. Along with increased architectural cohesion, because everyone understands how the pieces fit, and greater strategic agility, because you can see how changes impact the whole system visually. That's a huge potential impact on your bottom line and your ability to compete.
That's a remarkable potential saving, definitely. Okay, so we've covered the importance of structure, the capability alignment, and this visual collaboration piece. The third key element you mentioned earlier was AI augmentation. How does artificial intelligence fit into this model of empowered product teams?
Yeah, AI, it's obviously a huge topic right now. The crucial point here, drawing from sources like human plus machine, is to think of AI not primarily as a replacement for your engineers.
Which is a common fear.
It is. But think of it more as a powerful tool to amplify human capabilities, to take away the grunt work.
Okay, like what kind of grunt work?
Consider how AI-powered tools can automate those repetitive, often tedious, time-consuming tasks that weigh down engineering teams. Things like analyzing mountains of system logs to find patterns.
Sifting through error messages.
Exactly. Or summarizing lengthy technical documentation. Imagine pointing an AI at a complex spec and getting a concise summary. Or even generating initial drafts of boilerplate code or test cases, prototyping assistance.
Okay, so this frees up your human engineers to focus on the harder stuff, the more strategic, creative, complex problem-solving aspects of their jobs.
Precisely. That's the core idea.
Yeah.
But there's another layer here that the research emphasizes, which is even more important for empowerment.
What's that?
It's the value of embedding contextual business knowledge into these AI tools.
Contextual knowledge, meaning?
Meaning your organization's specific business rules, how value actually flows through your different capabilities, the why behind certain architectural decisions, the non-functional requirements for a particular domain.
Ah, the stuff that's often stuck in people's heads or buried in old documents.
Exactly. By making this crucial contextual information easily accessible through AI-powered tools, maybe a chatbot engineers can query, or tools that automatically surface relevant context when they're looking at code, you empower your engineers to make smarter, faster decisions within their specific domains.
That makes a lot of sense, because a team could be incredibly efficient at developing a particular feature, churning out code.
Technically brilliant.
But if they lack that broader business context, they might be inadvertently building the wrong thing or optimizing for the wrong outcome.
Exactly right. And that is the critical insight for anyone listening. AI augmentation, when implemented thoughtfully with this contextual awareness, helps prevent your highly skilled teams from excelling at the wrong priorities. It puts the necessary why right at their fingertips.
Smarter decisions, faster. Okay. So when you bring all these elements together, then this capability-driven architecture, these empowered teams operating in rapid MVL cycles, enhanced by this visual collaboration framework, and now augmented with context-aware AI, what kind of impact does this have on the overall speed and agility of digital transformation itself?
The research makes a really compelling case here, especially when you contrast this approach with, let's call them traditional transformation strategies.
The ones that often fail.
Well, yeah, those often involve these really lengthy planning and analysis phases, sometimes months, maybe even quarters, before any tangible business value is actually delivered. You get bogged down in planning.
Right, the big upfront design phase.
With this model we've been discussing, the focus shifts radically. It's about delivering value incredibly quickly. Often, the goal is within the very first development cycle, the first sprint.
Wow, delivering tangible value in the first sprint of a major transformation. That feels ambitious, a significant departure from the norm.
It is, but it's achievable with this structure. Think about it. By immediately implementing visual collaboration tools and starting to align your teams around core business capabilities, you start to identify and resolve those critical misalignments almost immediately. Day one, week one.
Because they become visible.
They become visible. Ownership starts to become crystal clear very quickly. And the AI tools we just talked about helped reduce the cognitive load on your teams, making them productive faster. As a result, you start to see your strategic goals being translated into actual working code much, much faster than with traditional approaches. The strategy starts hitting the road via code quickly.
It really sounds like a much more adaptive and responsive way to tackle something as huge and complex as a digital transformation compared to those large, often rigid, waterfall-style projects we still hear about.
Absolutely. It's fundamentally about building momentum early, demonstrating tangible results quickly. And that's crucial not just for the tech, but for gaining buy-in across the entire organization and sustaining the transformation effort over the long haul. Early wins build belief.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to that initial sobering statistic, that over 70% failure rate for digital transformations. The core message here, distilling everything we've discussed, seems to be that successful digital transformation isn't just about having a brilliant strategic plan or even implementing the most cutting-edge technology.
No, those are table stakes almost. It's fundamentally about how you structure your organization and how you truly empower your people to deliver that value. Structure dictates performance.
That really feels like the key takeaway. The essential shift is moving away from a temporary, project-centric delivery approach,
Which often dissolves teams just as they get good.
to one that revolves around stable, capability-aligned, and genuinely empowered product teams, teams that own a piece of the business end-to-end.
That's it. And then providing those stable teams with the support systems they need, those visual collaboration tools for alignment, and intelligent AI assistants to boost their effectiveness, that creates this powerful, sustainable engine for successful transformation.
And the impact of making that shift, as the research really underscores, it extends far beyond simply upgrading your IT systems, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It fundamentally alters the entire trajectory of your organization. It makes it more agile, more responsive to market changes, more resilient.
So it's not just about deploying new software in the end.
Not at all. It's about building a fundamentally more adaptable, more resilient, and ultimately a more successful organization for the future. Empowered teams, structured correctly, aren't just some trendy tactic.
They're the strategy.
They are the core strategy for achieving lasting digital transformation. That's the bottom line.
Powerful stuff. So for you listening today, maybe the final thought to ponder is about your own organization. Consider the potential impact of really fostering greater clarity in domain ownership.
Where do the boundaries lie?
Yeah. Granting more genuine autonomy to your teams within those boundaries, and ensuring much tighter, more visible alignment between your overarching business objectives and your day-to-day technical execution.
Maybe it's time to look beyond those traditional, often control-heavy management models.
And explore the transformative power that's waiting to be unlocked by truly empowering your teams through clarity, autonomy, and alignment. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.